All right, we're going to be talking about subtraction with whole numbers. And the process of subtraction is fairly straightforward. If we can think of counting as sort of adding up, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If I think of counting as sort of moving further to the right on a number line, say I do like 11 minus 7. 11 is counting in one direction, and then subtraction is literally moving backwards. So we start at that 11, and then we're counting backwards 7 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that would be equal to 4. Now, the idea behind a lot of this is just basically, it's putting together it's just sort of figuring out where you end up on a number line. Start out 11, move back 7, we're at 4. Now, with the rest of subtraction, a lot of things happen when we're subtracting numbers, and usually we're going to subtract vertically. So if I've got something like 90, say I've got 96, and I subtract from that 24. Most of the time, we're going to do the following. We're going to, start at the rightmost digit. GHT, I can spell. Rightmost place. And then you subtract the bottom number from the top. So 6 minus 4 is going to be a 2. 9 minus 2 will be a 7. Well, that's pretty straightforward. But we're not always going to be able to take away something from a number. So we'll also do something like, say we've got 400 and 486, and let's subtract from that 189. And I'm being kind of mean when I do this. When I borrow, to borrow means that the number above isn't big enough to subtract from. 9 is bigger than 6. So if I were on my number line, I would be going back beyond that 0. So instead, what I can do is I'm going to remember that this 8 is 10 of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow 1. When we borrow, we're going to subtract 1 from the next largest digit. And then we're going to add 10 to our current place. So when I subtract 1, this 8 becomes a 7, and this 6 becomes a 16. 16 minus 9 is, well, that's in fact 7. But now I look at this again, and I can't take away 8 from 7. So I'm going to have to borrow a second time. I'm going to borrow 1 from that 4, make that a 3. This now becomes a 17. 17 minus 8 is going to be a 9. And then 3 minus 1 is going to be 2. Now, borrowing can be Borrowing can be tricky, especially if we don't have a number that we can borrow from. So say I've got something like, say I've got a number like 5,000, and I'm going to take away 257 from that. I can't take 7 from 0, and I can't borrow anything from this 0. But I could continue on that process and borrow 1 from this. Well, still no, but I could borrow from this. Now, in one schema, we could say, okay, that's going to be 5,000 minus 257. And I would borrow 1 from this. That makes that a 4. That makes this a 10. And then I immediately turn around and borrow a 1 from that, making that a 9. That makes this a 10. I borrow 1 from that. That makes a 9, and that makes this a 10. But there's an easier way of doing it. I'm borrowing 1 from 500. When I borrow 1 from 500, what do I get? 499. This is the more detailed explanation of that. But now this is a lot easier to work with. 10 minus 7 is going to be 3. 9 minus 5 is going to be 4. 9 minus 2 will be 7. And nothing below that 4 means that will just come down. So 5,000 minus 257 becomes 4,743. Hopefully this helps, and we will see you in the next video.